Michelle of Sun Up to Somewhere, here with Jim Petway, who is an Appalachian Trail hiker and a very good friend of ours. We are really excited to be sitting here around the campfire talking about the AT today. Scott and I plan on hiking this trail either in parts or a through hike. So we've got a lot of questions to ask you today, if that is okay with you.
It's fine, yes.
First off, what got you interested in hiking the AT?
That's a great question because until I did find out about it, I absolutely knew nothing about the Appalachian Trail. I've always been an outdoors person and loved the outdoors, and I either discovered it on social media, I'm sure either on Facebook or YouTube. And once I discovered it, then I said to myself, I'm going to through hike the Appalachian Trail, and then I discovered what that involved, and my ability and my age. I decided, no, I'm not doing that. So I still wanted to do it. So on my retirement journey, I had put over 2 years researching the trail, and hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos for, like I said, over 2 years to get all the equipment, learn everything involved in it, educate myself as much as possible, and to pick up my equipment. You know, I looked at it as a challenge, and what my interest is because I've always been an outdoorsman and a hunter my whole life, a hunter and a fisherman, and I love the outdoors. Even as a child, I played in the woods.
Yeah.
We used to play army and hide and seek, you know, so I just love the outdoors and God's creation.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's us. And I used to hike a lot also, and then my hip went bad and kind of put me on the back burner. I got replaced last year, so we're building back up to we're going to hike this AT.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So Jim, what was your farthest hike and how did you prepare for it?
Hundreds of hours of YouTube videos, and I researched and studied for it for over 2 years and collected my equipment. And I did a shakedown hike in Harper's Ferry,
Okay.
which is the section of the Appalachian Trail. I spent 2 winters there to what they call a shakedown hike to get used to your equipment. So you
Yeah.
don't want to go fresh out there.
That's
And
good.
thank goodness I did, because I was wearing the wrong shoes. And when I did that 4-mile hike to Ed Garvey's shelter that winter, my feet were a mess.
Really.
So, and I had bought them by suggestion from REI, and I had to go back and get another pair. And ultimately, I'm still wearing them. The Solomons are the ones that work for me.
Okay.
And at home, I use Merrells,
Yeah.
how do you want to pronounce it?
Yeah.
But I tried them on in the store, and they wasn't as comfortable as these.
Okay.
These are brand new, because I get a brand new pair every year.
Yeah.
And,
I've been using Kings. And
Kings.
Kings work good for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that's what you know. That's why you have to find out what works for you, because
They may be a little heavy. I know Michelle uses, I think it's Ortiva sandals.
Yep.
And they work great.
They're a
And
popular brand out
I
there.
wouldn't mind trying something like that, but just for the weight of it.
Right. Well, I carry these, and then whenever I'm at camp, I stick to my trusty Crocs. There's nothing going to change them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Croc man.
Yeah.
I have a pair here with me, and that's what I use for my, my camp shoes when I
Yeah.
get into camp.
One thing we'd like to know is, have you hiked the entire trail or in parts?
Yeah, I've been section hiking. I retired in 2020 when the pandemic hit. Packed everything up. I resided in Baltimore and moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where I reside now. And May of 2021, I flew out and flew into Atlanta, Georgia, and hit the trail, and actually ended up in Tennessee, through Georgia, North Carolina, through the Smoky Mountains, and into Tennessee. And then I flew, I ended up not flying back home. I caught the church bus upon which they were doing a summer tour, and I paid for a ticket for a ride home. So I actually met them in Pigeon Forge.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was my first year. The second year, I decided I didn't want to start off where I left off at. I knew I wasn't getting any better shape or no younger, so I went straight up north to Mount Katahdin in Maine.
Wow.
And I got there early, ended up spending 3 weeks in Millinocket, and there was still snow on the mountain in May. I summited June 15th of 2022, and there was still snow up there in the middle of June. But the day that I had went up, it was a record-breaking 80 degrees going up. So when I had summited the top of Mount Katahdin, I was, needless to say, I was pretty perspired.
Yeah.
But it's like turning the air conditioner on when the sun starts to go down.
Oh, yeah.
It got cold and windy. And so I didn't make it down. I ended up spending the night in the cave up there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the next day there was a family come up like 6:30 in the morning. It was a father, son, and a daughter, and they actually stayed with me to make sure I made it down good, which, you know, I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
And they helped. I tried to plan it, but they helped me out to make sure I had enough water so I could stay hydrated. And anyway, a lot of it coming down, it wasn't hiking, it's more like mountain climbing and bouldering.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, there was some parts only by the grace of God I made it through. But anyway, I finished up that, and I got back on the trail after I got through up in Maine, and then I started heading south, and I went south all the way down to Massachusetts to Mount Greylock. I decided that I wasn't going to through hike it. It was too much. I felt like I'm too old and too out of shape. So, but I still wanted to do it. And out of all the folks that I've ran into over the years, no one's done it like me so far. Nobody's did sections through all 14 states.
Okay.
So, and I'm still short on that. I'm hoping to finish this year.
You'll get it.
But I had a little curveball thrown at me. I had a lot of curveballs last year, but I got really good at hitting them.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, how do you pack for multi-day hikes? And are there certain places you can set up camp along the AT?
That's a great question. In the south, there are, between the shelters, there's campsites that you can set up at, but some sections of the AT, they only want you to camp at shelters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You have to, sometimes you might have to do what they call stealth camp and get off the trail and set up your own camp, because they're not designated areas.
Yeah.
Usually the distance between the shelters, that you have to determine how far you want to hike every day.
Yeah.
And that's where your planning comes in. You have to figure your food and water.
Yeah.
You got to take your filtering system. And I always have a backup. Matter of fact, I got 3. I take the Sawyer Squeeze. I got a platypus. Plus, I take the water tablets too. You can purify the water.
Yeah.
That's a whole research within itself, because there is a lot of different water systems for your water. And that's important. You want to keep your water. Ultimately, you know, I not only purify mine, I boil it.
Yeah. I take one of those purifying straws when I go to Africa, do our missions. Yeah.
Yep.
I
So
take
you're
one of those.
familiar. You know. Yep. I've seen some hikers using them. Yep. So, but you have to do your research and, you know, and figure out what works for you and what you want. Basically, you just do your own thing.
Right.
But there's so many varieties, you have to start somewhere to determine what works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what has been your average mile per day on the AT?
My average, because I'm old and out of shape and carrying too much weight, I carry 50 pounds on my back. I average between 2 and 3 miles. My best day was 8 miles, and some days I got 5.
Okay.
But
But you
I
really just set your own pace.
I set my own pace, and I had, I told you my rule, not to sweat or breathe heavy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I mean, no, hikers don't carry chairs. They'll either sit on the ground or a log, and they carry a sit pad, But
Yeah.
I went out there for comfort. I wanted to enjoy it, not to be stressed.
Yes.
Because I'm retired and I'm not on a time schedule. A lot of the younger hikers that through hike it, they set out for a 6-month period. Most of them start around March, and then they want to finish and get into Katahdin before the snow hits. So they close the park down, and after so long, you can't get in there to the summit. So I've seen them start this year. I've heard some folks start as early as February, but up in the mountains that early, it's snow and ice and rain. And there's no way that I'm going to hike through that. Not really.
Wow. So that makes me think of the next question. What's the hardest part of the AT thus far that you've encountered?
Too. I think the most difficult was which I shared with you that I didn't hike. I took a van tour. Was the presidentials in New Hampshire, Mount Washington, and Mount Katahdin, which is the northern terminus. That's the end of the trail. And
Those are the hardest.
I think they're the most difficult. The south was the easiest. The southern part was a whole lot easier than the northern part. Once I got up into, like I said, New Hampshire and Maine, it was. And then I mentioned earlier about Pennsylvania's no fun either, walking across the rocks. You have to watch your footing. So,
So what's been your favorite part? What's your fondest memory?
Glad you asked that too. I love Fontana Village and Fontana Dam.
It is beautiful.
I love Fontana. I stayed there, I think, for about 10 days. I not only got a cabin at the lodge, I stayed at the Hilton, which is the shelter, and they had a campground.
Wow.
And I actually hiked to the dam. And they had a video at the lodge that you could watch on how they built that dam.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Oh yeah, we used to bear hunt up there.
Well, then you know.
Yeah.
And Hiawassee.
Yes.
The little lake town.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites, and I absolutely love Maine. Maine was fantastic. I spent, like I said, about 3 weeks there.
Didn't you send us some pictures of you rafting down a river in Maine, or you did something in Maine?
I actually
fishing or something?
I did a whitewater rafting trip that was a level 5. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a whitewater. Because I was there so long, the park wasn't open, so I couldn't summit it. And I stayed at the Big Moose Inn.
Yeah.
And I got to know the owner, all the maintenance people, and I knew everybody. Even at the store, I knew they had They had a couple seaplanes across the river, across the street, basically, that flew out folks to camp on the islands.
Wow.
So I tried to do that, but they wouldn't take me by myself. They only take 2.
Yeah.
So, but that was beautiful. The Penobscot River.
Yeah. Well, from what I'm hearing, I keep saying you're old and out of shape, and you're not.
I'm in good health.
You are doing this stuff, man. Other people ain't doing that.
Oh, I know. I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
The Lord has blessed me. I could be in better physical shape. You know, you hear the word, no pain, no gain. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I believe if you're in pain, you're hurting something.
Yes.
So that term is
Don't.
out of my vocabulary.
I hear you, man. I agree.
The way I do things is even out on the trail. When I didn't train for the trail, I know a lot of folks do that. They go stair climbing. They go to the gym. They do hikes. I didn't do that. I worked into it.
Yeah.
You know, if I hiked 2 miles and I was sore, I got to a shelter. I didn't have to leave because I'm not on time schedule. I could stay there for a night or two.
Yeah.
You know, and if I got caught in the pour down rain and my feet got wet, I'd wait for the rain to end. I'd dry my shoes out and then I'd start hiking.
Yeah.
You know, but I did it my way.
That's right.
You know, I wasn't on a time schedule. I'm retired, so, you know, I'm not on a 6-month journey.
So you just enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it, and it has been.
And that's important.
It's
That
been
is
a
important.
life-changing journey, too. I mean, the young hikers out there today, they average 20 miles a day.
Woo.
And they do that.
Yeah.
And I could never, when I first started, I was hoping to be able to do 10 miles a day. And my first 10 steps, I said to myself, I got to be out of my mind. Because I did the approach trail. I actually started in Amicalola Falls. I didn't start at Springer Mountain, which is where the AT actually starts in Springer, Georgia. But I went to Amicalola Falls, which is the 8-mile hike to Springer Mountain,
Oh,
the
wow.
beginning of the AT. They call it the approach trail.
Okay.
And they have the arch there to where you start. And
Yeah.
a lot of hikers do it, and a lot of them don't. They
Yeah.
start they skip that part. But I wanted to do it, so I did. I did the 8-mile, what they call approach trail.
Yeah.
I got a story about that too. I got a story about everything.
Well, you know, we've actually heard some stories about people with frightening experiences on the AT. What's been your most frightening experience?
Well, I was in the Smokies and I was headed to a shelter and I was on a ridge on the trail, and I heard this big thump down the side of the mountain below me, right? And it wasn't a thump, it was just like something tearing through the woods, you know? And it was pretty far down. I caught a glimpse of it. It was a huge wild boar, and it was headed, I don't know what it was running so fast for. I caught a glimpse of it between the trees as it was moving, but it was headed right toward the shelter where I was going.
Wow.
So when I spent the night there, I was wondering if it was going to show up or not.
Yeah.
But, that passed. It was no big thing. I think the worst part I remember was a couple out there that didn't get along, and they were at each other constantly, and that was a little disturbing. But outside of that, I mean, I have a video of a big rattlesnake that was across the trail, but it didn't bite me. But apparently I walked by it because the folks that were hiking behind me, when they come by, because they had stopped for a break, her name's Jen, and she said, "Jim, did you see the snake?" I said, "No," so I must have walked right by it.
Wow.
But, but she videoed it and sent it to me, so I have it on my phone. And it looks like it just eats something.
Yeah.
Like it just, because it
Big.
all the way across the trail. It held everybody up, north and southbound, till it went on.
Yeah.
In your experiences, what are some safety tips you can share with us?
That's a great question. I always say, and they teach you on some of the videos, is let your conscience be your guide. If you're not comfortable with a group of people or somebody you're with, move on. Ultimately, that's what the word says too. I mean, let your conscience be your guide.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So good. And as you know, we do missions and ministry. My husband travels for evangelism, travels to Zambia, for missions. And one of the big questions we want to ask is, how have you grown spiritually while solo hiking?
You get a close and personal relationship with your Maker when you're out there, because especially when you're hiking alone for 2 or 3 or 4 days, you're in your prayer closet and there's no distractions.
Yeah. That would be great.
And you know what? You learn yourself. You learn about yourself.
I've watched that on YouTube. People have said a lot of them have been really troubled in their minds, and they get out there and not even be spiritual, not going to church, but they got to have some kind of change. And they say they get out there, and it's like they are introduced to Jesus Christ in some form or fashion by somebody, and they say the spiritual experience transformed their life just by being out there in nature close to God.
Amen. I got on top of, I've told the story quite a few times, on top of Rocky Top, Tennessee, and it was such a gorgeous view. I got a 360-degree view of it, and I looked out there and I saw the majestic of God and what his creation.
Yeah.
And tears just started running out of my eyes. I
Yes,
couldn't
sir.
help it.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
he just spoke.
You know what?
He just spoke it.
You know, and you know what I said? And I said, thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, and it made the hair stand up on the back of my head. And I'm up there by myself, and I've done hiked, I don't know how many miles that day, a couple miles. You know, I told you my average was about 3, but I have done up to 5. But I'm carrying a lot of weight, and it depends on how the trail is.
Yeah.
The trail will determine sometime how far you can go, and of course, you know, your physical ability.
Jim, thank you, brother, for your knowledge and your sharing your experiences. We're excited about trying this journey, and maybe we can hook up and do it together sometime.
I'm excited for you. Yeah, like I said, I just section hike it, so perhaps I could hook up with you guys and do a section with you.
Cause we'll probably section hike it.
Yeah, so, you know, I missed a lot of it. I didn't do it all, but I hit sections through all the states.
Yeah.
But, you know, you meet so many wonderful people out there. And I told John when he come to meet me on the trail, I said, I skipped a lot of it. He says, Jim, don't feel bad. You didn't miss nothing. Because it's all beautiful. I mean, how much beauty do you want to see, you know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even though I missed a lot of it, I don't feel like I missed anything.
Right, because you saw so much.
I saw so much.
Yeah.
You know? And another thing we always say, it's not like being there. You can take all the photographs, all the videos that you want on your phone or camera, but it's not like being there live and see it. It's the majestic of our creation.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for today too, for joining me here at the camp. And
thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
And thank all of you for joining in this campfire chat with us. If you have any experiences that you want to share, drop them down in the comments, like, and subscribe.
See you on the trails.
Adios.